Yesterday, actually at the beginning of the Vinaya class, Venerable Children said these words, and this is advice for everyone, not just monastics. And this captures what I've been thinking about for quite some time. We have this capacity to look at everyone and find some fault. We do that to affirm that we're good. And we cherish ourselves above everyone else. So I don't know about you, but that's like very impactful. So then I've been thinking about what happens in my mind, and you probably find this too, when I either get really attached to thinking about someone or feeling great aversion when I'm really in a really grumpy mood. And often when my mind is like that, then I can reduce that person to about 3 words. In either direction, right? The one I'm so attached to and the one I'm really upset with. So I'm going to give you some examples of groups of 3 words and see if you've said these in the past. We've been here since beginningless time, so there's a good chance that we all have. And there's a really good chance this has been said about ourselves by others since beginningless time. Okay, here are the groups. You ready? When we really like someone, the person's thoughtful. They're generous with their time. And in particular, this particular person spent the last few decades sitting with people who were palliative. Now, another group, when you're really not liking the person. This person was known as the Lady of the Night in her youth. And if you don't know that expression, you'll have to look it up. I'm not going to tell you now. Gossipy. Children should be seen and not heard. And maybe this will bring to mind certain people that you've met in the past. Now here's someone that you really like. This person bakes the best buns ever. They're fantastic. She's cheerful, or he, cheerful and friendly. Loyal. Here's another group for the person you don't like in that moment. Their nose is in the air most of the time. Very cool, haughty. Here's a person that you like. Beautiful inside out. Caring and considerate. Volunteers at so many organizations. Someone you don't like. She's more important than anyone else, or she thinks she is. She's very nosy, or he. Talks about himself, herself, exclusively. Did different people come to mind? So what's interesting with this list is that this captures words that I've heard about one person over the course of many decades of their life. So in this one example, this person apparently was a lady of the night during World War II. So she was extending favors. There are other words for this kind of activity. But what's so interesting is that when I really started to get to know her, she was already going to the hospital in the town I used to live in every day, and she would sit with people who were palliative. She did this for decades. Now, this person I don't know that she had a spiritual practice, but she would do that because many people would end up there and they would go from, the extended care facility or the old folks' home, and they wouldn't have family. There was nobody around. And this person would sit with those people day after day after day, year after year after year, just doing this task. So who is this person? In moments, she's seen as cheerful and friendly and loyal. In the next moment, someone sees her as, nosy, gossipy, unkind. I do have a clear memory. She and her husband used to live beside my grandparents. And her front lawn was great. It went out like this and it went down like this. So it was great for rolling. We would do sausage rolls down her hill. And every time we did that, she would scream out of her front door, "You kids, get out of here!" So in those moments, I didn't think she was so great. I thought she was crabby. But, that's a child's perspective from a few moments. And so as I continue to think how my mind works, and maybe yours does too, what is it like to reduce someone to 3 words? I was going to show you a caricature of Justin Trudeau, but then I realized that would breach copyright things. And, some people consider him quite attractive. The cartoons that they make of him, they're just really, they're really cruel. And so that's what we do when we're afflicted and we reduce someone to 3 words. Often, isn't it just 1 word? Impossible. Difficult. And on and on. So do we want to be reduced to 3 words? Probably not. I remember one time I was in the company of someone who we'd go to her house quite often. This was in my 20s. And at one point I just said to her, your cooking is so beautiful. And it is such a pleasure and a privilege to come here and eat these meals that you craft so beautifully. And she looked at me and she said, "Well, is that all you see in me?" So that really stuck with me. She obviously didn't want to be known as just a good cook, and what about her other good qualities, which I wasn't commenting on, but it was a very powerful lesson. So in a teaching I think it was during a motivation that Venerable Chögyam gave during a Shantideva teaching, she said this: "The judgmental mind is a demon. When our mind hardens against others, they are 100% horrible. We can't stand them." And then she asked us, is that a reliable cognizer? The answer is quite obvious. And then in another teaching, I think this was too in a motivation, Venerable Chögyam said, in any case, we should be careful. We have a judgmental, critical mind. It's hyperactive, and it can easily criticize everyone and everything. And I don't know about you, but when I catch myself in that mode, it is truly a miserable mind. Truly miserable. And then I reduce the person again, regardless if it's a tirade in my mind. Usually it boils down to 3, 2, or 1 words. This past Friday, just before the teaching, there was a tremendous rainstorm. The sky just opened out and just pounded the earth with rain. The sky out in this direction was quite dark. And then all of a sudden, the rain stopped and the sun came out. And kaboomo, there was this gorgeous triple rainbow. So we all ran out on the deck. We got our feet wet, some of us. And it was like breathtaking. It was so beautiful. And we know from past experience that in a certain moment, the rainbow will intensify in color, and then it'll start to recede. And then pretty soon, it's gone. So wouldn't it be great to have that kind of mind when we meet someone? Not the excitement part, but just like, wow, there's such potential here. This person has Buddha nature. And then we encounter them, we know in a moment that they're going to sort of radiate intensely, and then it may recede. Some people don't recede. I do. I recede. But just to have that kind of approach when we meet someone and spend time with someone. And we're impermanent. Our time with each other is very brief. Very, very brief. So I'd like to close with 2 verses that we just recited about 20 minutes ago when we did Sog. I love these verses. They're so inspiring. Knowing that this chronic disease of self-centeredness is the cause of my unwanted suffering, Inspire me to put blame where it is due and vanquish the great demon of self-centeredness. Seeing that the mind that cherishes mother beings and secures their happiness is the gateway leading to infinite qualities. Inspire me to hold others more dear than my life, even if they rise up against me.